Well, welcome to the Weather Call webinar on heat alerts. My name is Gene Norman. I'm a meteorologist with the company Weather Call, and we want to thank you for watching this brief presentation, which explores how we are now leveraging the ability to notify our clients about heat alerts. Joining me today or on the call is our company president, Valerie Sanders, along with Megan McClellan, another one of our meteorologist and the digital marketing director. Of course, Valerie is the president and founder of Weather Call, which began over 15 years ago, providing people with proactive weather alerts. We serve both consumers as well as businesses, and we consider what we do to be a proactive approach that delivers a variety of geo-targeted weather alerts instantly by phone, text, and email. And we have some sub-brands, Weather Call Enterprise, which is directly targeting businesses, Hazard Call for manufactured home communities, and Hazard Alarm, which is an outdoor alarm. And you can learn more about that on our website. Well, here's what we're here to talk about, of course, which is heat. And here we are at the beginning of August. Temperatures continue to rise around the country, and it has been a hot July. In fact, over half of the country at some point was under some form of heat alert. That's a lot, and that's kind of unprecedented. In fact, here are some other tidbits that occurred in the month of July. Utah experienced 16 days in a row over 100 degrees. That's the most ever. Newark, New Jersey had a record 5 days over 100, and we had record highs set in the Pacific Northwest. We expect it to be hot in Texas and Oklahoma, but even there, the temperatures were oppressive for a long period of time, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Of course, the reason for this is the jet stream, which has been pushed far to the north. That allows a bubble of high pressure to develop. The heat dome, air inside the dome sinks, compresses, heats up, and the dome kind of expands. It moves around the country, and that's what we've been dealing with over the last couple of weeks here, and it's going to extend as we move into other months. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, because heat is dangerous. Most people don't even realize that the fatalities from heat are more than any other weather phenomenon. We're in 2021, which is the red bars you see here on this bar graph. Well, heat just edged out flash flood, but in general, over a 10 and over a 30-year period, heat is the number one cause of fatalities in the United States, more so than what you might think, hurricanes, tornadoes, and so forth. That's because of what I just showed you. The heat can be widespread, affecting a lot of people, whereas a storm may be just localized to one specific area. Of course, workers are at risk for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. According to the Department of Labor, in 2019, there were 43 fatalities, with over 2,000 people suffering injury. And according to the Rockefeller Foundation Resilience Center, heat can contribute to an economic loss of about $100 billion. And that's mainly due to productivity, lost time from work, sick time, etc. So it is a big, big deal. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. We've got more heat to come. This is a projection for for next week, from August 7th through the 11th, from the Climate Prediction Center, a branch of the National Weather Service. They're expecting above normal temperatures to persist in the middle of the country, along the mid-Atlantic, and even for the entire month of August. This is what we are expecting. So summer heat will continue to drag on. And of course, it is all part of an increasing global trend of warmer temperatures year after year. And because of this, the president announced last fall an initiative across multiple federal agencies to develop climate adaptation strategies. And here's the quote from the president. He wants to ensure the American people have safe and healthy working conditions, provide cooling assistance to homes and neighborhoods, and coordinate with state and local officials to bolster their resilience and address the impacts of this threat. We obviously can't stop the heat, but we can at least try to figure out ways to make some adaptations. And one of the first initiatives came from OSHA, announced this past spring. They're going to increase inspections and enforcement for what they call high-risk industries, places where people are susceptible either to working outdoors or in factory conditions that can get very, very hot when temperatures rise. And these inspections are going to be triggered by National Weather Service alerts. And the idea is to encourage employers to implement intervention methods. They first have to know about the threat, but they also have to have some ways to keep workers cool, perhaps have more breaks, etc. And so OSHA will be going around and has been going around already this summer doing these kind of spot inspections. Now, the heat alerts that the OSHA triggers their inspections are based on the National Weather Service calculation of the heat index, which is a combination of the temperature and the relative humidity. When both of these things are very high, you're in that red zone there where it's obviously very, very dangerous. And so the three types of alerts that the Weather Service issues are heat advisories, excessive heat watches, and excessive heat warnings. Now, these are going to vary based on where you are in the country. I'm here in Atlanta, so if we're expecting a temperature of 95 degrees, well, I don't really consider that to be a big problem. But if I live in Minneapolis or Oregon or Maine, and it's going to be 95 or 100 degrees, that's a big problem. So I might have a heat advisory issued in Maine where it might not be issued in Georgia, just to give you a sense of that. So here are the three definitions. A heat advisory is issued within 12 hours of the onset of extremely dangerous conditions, typically when the heat index is expected to be 100 degrees or higher for 2 days. An excessive heat watch is when conditions are favorable for an excessive heat event in the next 24 to 72 hours. And that's when the risk of a heat wave has increased, but they don't exactly know where it's going to be or how long it's going to be, but they're anticipating that something is going to be happening. And then finally, an excessive heat warning. That's issued within 12 hours of the onset of those extremely dangerous heat conditions. And that is when the heat index is expected to be 105 degrees or higher for at least 2 days. So the question is, how do you know when there are heat alerts issued for your area? Well, we have a solution that keys into the National Weather Service. This is the current heat advisory map for the United States. We get that data. It's fed into our computers. And then for our clients who are located in threat zones, we send texts and emails letting them know. So this immediately gives our clients that information, that heads up that, hey, there's going to be a problem. Because again, those advisories, as I just showed you, are issued just prior to. So it might be 85 today, but tomorrow it's expected to be 95. They issue the heat advisory today in anticipation for the heat temperatures going up tomorrow. That's what happened yesterday in Eastern Kentucky. Of course, they've been dealing with the flooding, and then they decided, the Weather Service there decided to issue the heat advisory, even though it didn't technically meet all of the criteria. They know a lot of people are displaced, and being out of your homes for a long period of time is going to allow for heat stress. So they went ahead and issued the heat advisory yesterday, which goes into effect today. So it's that heads up information that our clients can rely on. So what is it that they receive when we send them the text and email? Well, they get a graphical display that shows their location. And this is one of our clients in Northern Indiana, the pin drop, and the orange shading are the counties that are involved in the heat advisory. They also receive the text from the National Weather Service, so it's coming from them, not from us, and it gives them all the details about when the heat advisory is going to begin, how long it's going to last, what the temperatures are going to be. In addition, we also keep our clients advised when the Weather Service escalates or de-escalates the heat threat. On the left, we're telling our clients that there's been a change to the heat message. So we sent them an initial message, but the Weather Service changed something, and now they can find out what that is. Maybe they're going to cancel it sooner. Maybe they're going to extend it. And then on the right, you'll see the example when they cancel it, when it's no longer in effect. So they can know they can kind of power down from that situation. So how has this impacted our clients? Well, this is an exciting testimonial we just received from a safety director of a tire manufacturer in Iowa. He said, using Weather Call for heat alerts is a big improvement over what we used to do. Getting the push alerts puts heat safety at the forefront of everyone's mind in the plant. This way, the staff knows to stay hydrated, take breaks, and get somewhere cool before they feel the heat stress. And that's really the key. A lot of people assume that everyone knows what's going on with the weather, right? We've got our phones, we've got the TV, we've got people telling us on social media. But you'd be surprised how many people are really not dialed into the weather. We as meteorologists, this is what we live, eat, breathe, and sleep. But the average person doesn't really know. I always joke with colleagues that I will never have the experience that a lot of people do of waking up in the morning, looking out the window and being surprised at what I see because I'm so dialed in. But the average person is not working that way. And so they assume it's July, it's August, maybe it's going to be warm. They don't even know. Maybe it rained the day before, so they're not aware of what changes might be coming. So to have these alerts being pushed to decision makers gives them that heads up, gives them that awareness that they will need to know. Now, of course, I want to also talk quickly about the other weather threats that we monitor here at Weather Call, because heat was just added to our bread and butter of knowing about severe convective storms. So basically, our bottom line proposition is that extreme weather is a low probability but high risk event. It's not going to happen every day the way that perhaps the heat has been going on for days and days at a time. But when severe weather does come, it can have a disastrous impact. And you're really trying to figure out, should you shelter or keep working? Do you have all the information you need to confidently make those kinds of decisions? Or are you going to waste time, like in this picture, people waiting out a storm that maybe isn't even coming to them? And that, of course, will impact the bottom line. We also know that there is a lot of confusion out there and overwarning because of the plethora of phone apps and other ways that people do get weather information. On the far left, you see an example of a WIA alert. That's the alert that comes automatically with your phone when you buy it. Is pushed out by the government. Nothing wrong with these alerts, but the information there is kind of scant, and it again forces you to look for more information, more confirmation of a threat. The old weather radio, again, useful, but it is county-based, so it doesn't know about a threat specifically coming to you. And of course, outdoor sirens, most people rely on them, even though they are intended to be for outdoor use. So here's an example of this overwarning and confusion problem. On the left, you see a warning that is in effect for a county, and the phone, the weather radio, and the outdoor siren assume that this threat applies to the entire county, regardless of where you are in that county, if you're at the top pin drop or the bottom pin drop. But on the right, Weather Call knows that the alert is the box that's actually straddles two counties. And so we would only notify our clients who are inside the pin drop, or rather inside the warning, and not those who are outside. Whereas the other traditional services, they're alerting everybody regardless of where they're located. So our system assigns primary and secondary contacts in our accounts. You define a geofence, which relates to the lead time, in general, miles to minutes. So if you tell me that it takes 5 minutes to shelter, I would recommend a 5-mile geofence. If you tell me it takes 10 minutes to shut down and shelter, then I would recommend a 10-minute, rather a 10-mile geofence. And then we push those notifications out via text, email, and phone call. That's something that no one else does when you are at risk. So when the warning polygon that the National Weather Service draws either contains your monitoring address or eclipses the geofence, then we will send you those notifications and you'll immediately know everything about this storm. And again, it's sent by a phone call, a text, and an email. And when we send the text, we also send a link which automatically opens up to show live radar, including the lightning locations, as well as the complete text of the National Weather Service message. So you find out exactly what this threat is all about. Same thing when we send you the email. You click a link in the email that we send you, and it opens up again to show you all of that detailed information. Now, another thing that we do that's pretty unique is that we have a tiered notification process. What I mean by that is, in this example here, the tornado warning indicated by the red box that you see includes the location that we're monitoring, the pin drop. In this case, all of the contacts in the account are notified. So everyone knows, hey, this is a threat. It's definitely something we need to worry about. However, there are many times where the polygon may clip the geofence circle that we're monitoring around your location. And if it clips it toward the right side of that circle, maybe that storm is moving away from you. And so it's not necessary to notify everybody in the account, but we notify only the primary contacts. And then they can look at the situation, assess it, and determine if they need to, in fact, take action. There could be a situation where it clips it at the far right-hand side or the far bottom side. And again, this storm is not moving towards you. It may not be something you need to be worrying about. But we give you this option to be able to notify secondary contacts with the email that we send you. So this helps those primary decision makers figure out if they need to tell everybody or if they need to just say, hey, this is a threat, we're watching it, but we're not that concerned about it at the moment. The other thing that we do that no one else does is we give you the all clear. So once the threat is canceled by the National Weather Service, you receive an all clear notification, and that lets you know it's time to go back to work. We have many clients who appreciate this because prior to having our system, they might shelter because they heard about a tornado warning, but they weren't sure when it was over. So we monitor tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, flash flood. We also monitor winter storms. We also monitor the outlooks for storm threats, lightning, and of course the heat that we talked about earlier. When it comes to lightning, we send you a text and an email, and the link in the text and email we send you gives you a graphical display of the most recent lightning strikes, and it is a dynamic link. So you tap on it all during the duration of the storm, you can see those lightning bolts changing with time. Now, our pricing is based on the number of contacts you need for us to notify, the size of the geofence, and the type of threats that you want us to monitor. And just to give you a sense of the range, these are just some sample prices. Again, a customized plan is what we recommend, but I just want to give you a sense of what our service costs so that you can kind of get a sense of that. Plan A, for example, monitors 10 contacts with a 5-mile geofence, and we're monitoring tornado warnings and heat alerts. Plan B, it's 20 contacts with a 10-mile geofence, and we're monitoring tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings. And Plan C would be a 15 contact, 15-mile geofence account where we're monitoring tornado watches and warnings and heat alerts. So again, you can mix and match however you need. These are examples, and certainly you can have it more customized. Finally, I want to talk about a way that we have to connect to your fire control panels. So everyone has one of these, obviously, in your facility, and our alerts can trigger your fire control panel, and that way it can flash lights, sound a siren, or have a sign with display on it that you can control and configure. You purchase a relay, which then is configured into your fire control panel, and it requires a LAN or Wi-Fi as well as dedicated power. Finally, I said finally, but here's finally, we have an outdoor unit that sounds an alarm, flashes lights for lightning, or if you're under a tornado warning. This is ideal for outdoor workers because, again, this blaring alarm will get their attention and let them know, hey, there is a threat coming close to us and we need to hurry up and get inside and take shelter. Just quickly about the fire control panel, these are some options on the pricing. It's based, again, on what types of alerts you need to be notified about in the fire control panel. If you have any questions about any of our services, please don't hesitate to reach me at my email or phone number, and of course, visit our website. So again, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this brief webinar, and we hope that you have a great rest of your day and a continued safe summer.